What's up, guys and gals? It's your host for the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Jujustu Kaisen, chapter 201, entitled Direct Negotiations, part 2, 2222. And when was somebody ever decide to tell me that it was time to duel? Because Kenjaku has thrown down the gauntlet. He has summoned Garnicia Eleflantes in attack mode. And I remember my old Yu-Gi-Oh, ladies and gentlemen. I remember that Maximilian Pegasus came up against this same problem against Bandit Keith in a national tournament. And he had an 8-year-old boy come out, summon a weaker monster, and somehow goddamn win. Well, I mean, I could go that line. I could believe in Pegasus Millennium Eye, but I think I got one better. I challenge you, Kenjaku, to a duel. And when I defeat your Garnicia Eleflantes with Knigas, attack power 3100, your Garnicia Eleflantes is no match. So I'm going to take away a good chunk of your life points from this battle. And once Knigas wipes the goddamn floor with your Garnicia Eleflantes, then we might get into the chapter review, because honestly, I got nothing. I got nothing for this chapter. Garnicia Eleflantes being summoned to the field looks really badass, looks really cool. I really like that spread. I'm going to use it as the thumbnail come hell or high water. It looks really cool. But in all honesty, this chapter was kind of... I mean, I know the chapter had to happen, but what really happened that we didn't already know? They basically just keep going over and over and over the idea. Well, for the first, third of the chapter, they just go over the fact that America are full of greedy politicians that are going to use the words like protect and save rather than kill and torture. They're always going to justify the ends, they're going to justify the means, and they make up some political sounding jargon and bullshit to make it seem like it's okay that we're doing this shit. It's not very thinly veiled in this chapter either. And honestly, I was like, yeah, shut the fuck up. A lot of people are saying that Cyrus was already in Kenjaku's pocket and already knew about cursed energy and blah, blah, blah. Once again, no indication from the last chapter that is true, and no indication from this chapter that it's true. He is just still jumping the gun, making wild assumptions about polar bears, and just believing that this guy from Japan coming in here, still under the name of Ghetto, comes in here. Ghetto comes in and basically says, yep, polar bears, and boom, he's got everybody on his side. The president, the head of the environment and energy savings and all this stuff. And they're just like, yep, they're just eating it up like a kid that's been starving for 3 days. Like, it's just, yeah. Okay, so that's the first part of the chapter, and it's kind of like, man, we already knew that this was going to happen, and it's just kind of like, yeah, we're kind of going really far. That ball is being thrown really far out of the park in the leaps in logic here, but I know we're trying to avoid chapters like this. I know what Gege's trying to do. He's like, I want America involved. I want us to understand how Kenjaku convinced them, but I really don't want to spend 5 chapters actually making it make some level of logical sense. Just it's way easier to say that America is just going to jump at any chance to beat any other country at anything because they're sore fucking losers and even sore winners. So, yeah, and realistically, we can buy that. So even though that these guys look like absolute leaps in faith morons, it's fine dandy. Because it does suit them. And then we have, of course, the general of, this is America, stick to making cars and anime. Of course, the racist overtones, the stereotypes are all there from the general of America. This is America. Look at my pointed mustache. This is America. You know? Muscles and bullets and the South and barbecue and cheeseburgers. Let's go. You know, that's, yeah, they're very, ironically enough, they're being stereotypes, and these are very stereotypical Americans, which ironically, once again, stereotypes do have a form of truth, as sometimes they have racist overtones, sexist overtones. Regardless, at the end of the day, stereotypes come from something, right? There is a basis in truth for every stereotype, otherwise, wouldn't be a stereotype, right? Just pointing that out there. So anyways, fact of the matter is that this happened. The American general's all, oh, we can beat you, muscles and bullets, and gets his whole team absolutely washed. So, and this was all Kenjaku's thing to convince him he was only going to send about 100 soldiers. He was going to send a battalion, maybe, which can consist of anywhere from like, I've seen battalions of 75 soldiers. I think they go up to like 100 something. But anyways, basically he was only going to send about under 100 dudes, okay? About 100 guys or less. And he was going to send about that many, and Kenjaku was the one to say, you got to send at least 800, and I'm going to show you why, and he proves it, he shows him why, and then that's the end of the chapter. So, realistically, not a whole lot going down this chapter. Like, really? I mean, I could go through each part and be like, what about this, what about that, but at the end of the day, I was like, okay, here's what happened. They continued with the political bullshit with Mr. Cyrus, who wants to believe that, you know, Magic the Gathering monsters and Yu-Gi-Oh monsters all of a sudden create better, you can run my car and microwave. He does that shit, and that's part of the chapter. Then we have the very stereotypical American general who's all about muscle, blood, and bullets, who gets his ass whipped by Kenjaku. And then we get a cool double spread of Garnicia Eleflantis in the flesh. That's the chapter. It wasn't a bad chapter, but that's literally all that happened. And I'm glad that Gege is trying to like move on, because we do not care about this. At least I don't. I don't really care about it. We know that America has joined the fray. Now let's go see the fray, right? So, because the reasoning is never going to make that much sense. It doesn't make sense. So spending any more time on these vast leaps in logic that Jujutsu sorcerers can all of a sudden become fossil fuels is still A squared plus B squared is not equaling C squared in this equation, to my mind, in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah. So I'm glad that Genki's just like, all right, let's move on. Let's explain this away. Let's prove that here's how he convinced them to send 800 soldiers. Done, dandy, boom, boom. And then the last panel, of course, we see Yuji and the gang. So we'll be moving on to, we'll be moving past this in the next chapter. So I'm glad that Gege only spent 2 chapters on doing this. So, but anyway, that's the review, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back here next time for more Jujutsu Kaisen. Chapter 202, definitely going to be better than this one. Though I will say, that was a badass spread of Garnicia Eleflantis there on the roof of the White House. That was pretty fucking cool. Not gonna lie. Anyways, drink responsibly as always, guys. We'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.